First time I ever experienced pain of someone dying was my dad. I was in my third year in the university.
So, grief is something that we experience at some point in our lives. It can be quite challenging. Hello, you there. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Rahila Wachi, and this is On the Couch with Ozzy. So today we will be talking on life transitions, and grief is one of the things that I will love to talk about today with a guest of mine who has experienced grief. So today she'll be sharing her personal experiences with us. So yes, thank you so much for agreeing to share this part of your story. I know it was, so thank you so much. So she will do us the honor of introducing herself.
I am Katman Emmanuel, and I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you. I call her Katie, Katman Emmanuel, but I call her Katie for short. So yes, let's get right
You
into it.
lost a lot of people in your life.
Like
I
a
know
lot.
that talking about grief can be sensitive. It can bring a lot of emotions and all of that. So I just want you to take your time. I mean, I know about your dad and I know about your sister. Just want you to just walk me through the persons that you have lost in your life. Then yeah, I think the first time I ever experienced losing someone was my crush in secondary school. When just two, we went on Christmas break and then he didn't come back. We're told that he traveled for Christmas and came back sick and died. When I heard, oh, I started crying. As a child, I think I was barely 11, but um for me, the thought of not seeing him ever again, because that was when I was trying to understand what death meant. So I was disturbing my mom. I was like, so I will not see him again. They will say yes. I went to visit his family, and then everybody was crying. I was confused. I came back home. I cried and cried and cried, but I still didn't understand because I was a child. I was barely 11. And then that happened. I had a crush on someone before I was 11. The first time I ever experienced pain of someone dying was my dad. I was in my third year in the university, and then my dad fell sick. He traveled one time for Christmas, and then they called us and said he was not feeling fine. I started fasting from January 2015 till every month I took out time to be fasting just because of my dad. I was always taking out time to fast. Every time he called, uh-uh, and I hear his voice. He's crying, crying things. Till when one night, my cousin called me to come and meet him somewhere in school. When I got there, it was as if he noticed I didn't know, so he told me to go back. And then I got back home. I had the dream that night. I didn't understand. I dreamt that my dad was in a coffin, and then my siblings were surrounded. But I didn't. That was 2015 July. And then I got to school the next day. We're preparing for exams. We're in the class. I received the call from my brother, and then first thing he says is, "How are you? How is school?" And then he just goes in Hausa, "Baba Yamutu." That's daddy has died. Yes, my elder brother. And then he ends the call. I started screaming. We're preparing for exams. Exams were starting. They called me on a Wednesday. Exams were starting on Monday. We're in class for revision. Third year. And then I ran out of class. People still following me. Like I was running and screaming. They held me and brought me back. Then the lecturer just says, "Oh, class has ended. Let's take her back home." Then my elder brother, we heard of my elder brother's death that same 2015. His own self, I couldn't process it because I had not seen him in years.
Was he the one that called you when your dad died?
No, it was not him. It was not him that called. Him, I had not even seen him in years. And then we heard that he had died. Okay. Then that's same 2015. Then moved to 2017.
I came to Abuja to serve. So my mom's younger sister, their last born, Auntie Salome, I went to her house because she used to stay in Kubwa, and then the camp was not so far from her house. So my mom was like, oh, I should go to her house, spend the night, then go to camp from there. Got there, she was not feeling too fine, left for camp, and I even told her, oh, after camp, when I come back, I'll be coming frequently, I'll stay with her and all. She said yes, because she's my guy. I used to spend Christmas with her and all. I came back from camp and then they told me that she has been in the hospital for weeks. Visited her a few days later, they said she had died. Struggle. Then I moved, that was 2017. Then that same 2017, this one happened around August. I moved in with my aunt, Auntie Muradi. I started living with her at Apo. Started serving. She used to take me to my PPA, and then I come back. And lots of the places I know in Abuja was because of Auntie Muradi. Like, that one, she likes life. So we used to hang out together a lot. So sometimes when I close from my PPA, she will call me and ask me, oh, where are you? I'm coming to pick you up. Let's go out. Let's go and meet up with some friends. And then November of 2017, I told her I was going to spend the weekend at my friend's house, Grace. I left. Then my mom called me after like the first night. I was like, where am I? She now said, and they just came to Abuja and then they got to the house and they saw Auntie Muradi not feeling too fine and they're taking her back to Kefi. And I'm like, I didn't even know she was sick. Like, I just left like last night. She didn't even tell me she was sick. My mom now said that she has been hiding it. I came back, Auntie Muradi was in the hospital. After my cousin's wedding, I went to the hospital to see her. The day I went to see her in the hospital in Kefi, before then we were communicating, and then I got to the hospital. I saw her. She was looking much better compared to what they were telling me. She was talking, and then she asked me if I had money, and I told her yes. She was not like, oh, very soon she'll leave the hospital very soon. I should not worry. I should just go back. She'll soon come. Anything I need, I should let my mom know. They'll send me money for it. I told her, okay, no problem. And then I got to Abuja that evening and we received the call that she died. What? And then I couldn't even process. I just knew I couldn't sleep well that night. I couldn't sleep well, and because you just I left Kefi and I just got back that evening, and then my mom called and said she had died. Started the whole process, crying, went for the burial, started living life on my own. I had to move to another uncle's house and 2017. Then come to 2022 April, just called one day and said my nephew drowned. What? And he got missing the day before, and then they found him the next day. He had drowned. Okay. What part of the what part of the state was that? Like in Jos. In Jos. Yeah. And after that, my sister fell sick. My immediate elder sister fell sick that period. Back and forth in the hospital with her. And then by July, also, my mom came to see me. I was not feeling fine. And they called my mom, the nurse that takes care of my sister in Jos, because she was sickle cell. They just called my mom and were like, they're rushing my sister to the hospital. She's not feeling fine. It was on a Sunday. No, it was on a Saturday because I remember they came to see me. I was not feeling fine. So they came to the house with my younger brother to see me. And then they called and said, oh, my sister is not feeling fine. So my mom had to leave with my brother. They picked up my elder sister on the way and they went to Jos to see my sister. So I just kept checking, oh, how is she feeling? You say, oh, she's doing better now. Till one day they just called. I think it was 13th July. Yes. I woke up that day. I was not feeling too fine. My friend had spent the night in my house. So I went to work. Then that evening they came to pick me. They even took me for pizza because I was complaining I'm feeling sick, I'm feeling sick, I'm feeling sick. Got back home, my friends were in the house. Two of them were gisting. And then my younger brother just calls me and says, are you at home? I said, yes. Yes, the one you met. And he was like, are you at home? I go, yes. He says, are you alone? I said, no, I'm with two of my friends. And I said, okay, that he's just calling to tell me that my sister just passed. I just started screaming, and my friend already knew what was going on because I had told her that my sister was sick. So so started screaming. I think I called my friend Kana, and I just started crying on the phone. I was like, my sister has passed, and I dropped the call. My friend Lillian was there, and then Micah. We all went to the same secondary school. We were the two in the house with me. And before I knew it, Kana was already in the house. She came. I couldn't sleep that whole night. Even when they slept off in the middle of the night, I just sat down. I remember just sitting down beside my wardrobe, and I just kept crying till morning. I couldn't believe it because I had spoken to her like few days before she fell sick, and we had like a very long conversation. Like she was telling me that she was tired of her job, she wants to relocate, that she's coming to Abuja. She was even telling me I had just moved into my house that time, so she was even telling me that we need to buy flowers, buy things to decorate the house and all. We had spoken for so long on the phone. Her airtime finished. I called back. My airtime finished. We spoke on WhatsApp. So I just sat down. Yes, she was in Jos. That was even before she fell sick. We had spoken for so long. So that night when they called me, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is the person I spoke to few days ago, and she was okay. And even when she fell sick, I sent her a message. She replied. She said, "Thank God," and all. Still reading our chats, and I couldn't believe it. I kept saying, I'll wait till morning. I'll wait till morning. I'll call back. In the morning, I called my brother. People were still crying. I was not like, so this thing is true. He says, yes. And then my elder brother died last year. He called me in the morning, June, end of June. And yes, 2024. And he said, oh, he fell, hit his head, and was bleeding all through the night. Morning, he died. When you've gone through so much, I couldn't cry. I've still not been able to cry for my elder brother's death. Like every time I think about it, it's like, oh, okay.
It's just a lot to unpack. Because listening to you right now, when they tell you, you don't even know what people are going through. I know that I've been close to Katman and stuff like that. I didn't know, honestly. I knew about the sister, her dad, because her dad were in school at that time, and I felt like I knew, like I could remember, those times where Fatih, when they would tell me they're going to Katman's house. I remember in school that time because we're in the same department. I kind of remembered when you actually ran out of class and stuff like that. So I'm like, and then your sister, because I knew how you two close, how you were so close, how you used to upload her on WhatsApp and all of that. And now to hear that there were two persons 2015, two persons 2017, 2020, 2024. Katie, how have you coped? Like what was your coping mechanism? Because now that you mentioned that you haven't even had time to cry for your brother's own in 2024, how has your spiritual life with God been? Like, were you angry at some point with him?
About anger, I've had my fair share of anger with God. I can't lie. I'm not even going to lie. I'm going to be as honest as possible. The anger with God started in 2015 when my dad died. I remember I was so angry. I cried. I told God that I was fasting and praying for this man, and you still took him away. I was like, my dad and I, we had a very beautiful relationship. Like, he was my guy. I could tell my dad literally everything. So when he was sick, and then finding out that because he lost his memory at a point, my half sister called me one day when she came from Katsina to just to see him, and she said everybody my dad sees, he calls them Catman. And I cried that day in school. I cried. So after he died, the first thing was anger. It was anger. I was so angry at God. I stopped attending church. I when I wake up in the morning, even that thank you, Kini. Thank you for what exactly?
I stopped praying, I stopped going to church. It was just like I was just living. I just wake up every day and I'm living life. I resorted to other means. I thought of alcohol, clubbing in school. It was just like, okay, this is my coping mechanism. So people see you in school and they are wondering, this one they party, this one they. It was just a way to get it out of my head, and the anger just kept increasing over the years. Every time somebody dies, I sit down and I ask God, what is it? What is it? What has my family done to you? That's how it just kept going. My sister's own, I cried a lot. I think that was when I got to the realization that says, His grace is sufficient for you. And then God is a comforter. It was in 2022 when my sister died that all that resentment, all that anger started subsiding. It was like, because my sister, before she died, we heard all the things she did, how she cleared all her accounts to give it to the needy, as if she knew she was going to die. So, and she's always talking about being ready and going, and how she was fasting before she died. And it now dawned on me that I've been angry, I've been carrying a lot of anger in my heart. And who is the best person to drop all of this thing with is God. He cares for us. So I finally realized that, like Pastor Sarah would say, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. So I had to come to the realization of, why are these things happening? I'm not going to lie, my spirituality right now, or my faith in God, has happened. So who is the better person to draw near to? It's just God. God is the one who comforts. God is the one who gives peace. So instead of anger now, I'm just at peace with whatever happens. It's just like, okay, this person's time is up. Okay, no problem.
Oh my days. I'm learning a lot because I asked her relationship with God and then see how she said first she was angry with God, and then you can hear how she spoke about him at the end of the day. He's a comforter, he's a I draw strength hearing stories from people that have passed through, death of loved ones and they're still believing in God, people that have waited on God for one thing or the other and they walk through it, they pass through it, and they are still, in the house of God, they're still trusting God. I mean, it's that level of strength. Katman, one for sure, I admire you. Like, I know that you don't even know how much, but even before this whole episode of the grief and stuff like that, you have been one person that I mean, since when we're in school, I will just look at her and she just carries this so much strength. She's going through so much, but you can just see the way she carries herself. And honestly, for so long, that is how much I've admired you to this day. And then when you spoke about Pastor Sarah, she lost her husband and how she was able to carry herself and still continue with the church and all of that. It is not easy to keep trusting in God, when you lose people and stuff like that. I love how Katman said she was angry with him. Honestly, rightly so. But at the end of the day, she said his grace sufficient. God still carried her through it all. And God is just good. It's fine to be angry with him, but we should always just find our way back home, because I love how she said her coping mechanisms and all of that. If it was for the devil, that was where he wanted her to be. That was where he wanted her to be. But God just still found a way around it. And I know that they're all resting with the Lord. And, honestly, Catman, all the strength to you. And just know that your story will inspire a lot of people that are going through, grief and stuff like that. Just looking how you're still living, you're still trying to do life, you're still going to church. I mean, sometimes I admire her spiritual life. I'm like, I used to be that, but now it's like, Catman is going to church. Maybe I could carry myself to church too. Oh, who did I lose that I want to be staying at home? Baby, through all of those things, the people that you lost in the course of your life, has it changed your perspective on life? Like, do you see life differently? Maybe relationship with people. I am sure there are some persons that you still carry in your heart that because I know that I read somewhere that there are people that you will never forget when you're in your grieving process, doing childbirth, marriage, and all of that, but especially grief. I know that there's some persons that, especially when you mention Kana and those people that were, that
Mhm.
went to your, and they were there immediately, has it changed your perspective on life generally, people and stuff like that?
One thing I learned during the grieving process over the years is no man is an island. You need people. You cannot isolate when you are going through things like that. I know people grieve differently. Everybody grieves differently. Some people get depressed. For someone like me, it was anger and looking for other things to get through it. But one thing I realized this. Yeah, sometimes I get angry that, oh, maybe some friends were, but then God has given me good friends. Like I have so much support system that have helped me over the years. Forgetting this whole anger thing, do you know I didn't even realize I was becoming an angry person until my mom and my brother started talking about it. Then few friends would tell me that I get angry over little things. You see all that joyful, cheerful Catman, behind it was an angry person. That little things just get me pissed off. Before you know, I'm getting angry, I'm screaming, and I didn't even realize that I was going through all of that. I know in this part of the world, we don't really get to talk about therapy a lot. You see, my friend Wumi, we went through primary school together. I've known her for over 20 years. I remember one day I opened up to her and I was like, I'm becoming somebody I don't like. And she goes, do you think you need therapy? And I'm like, I won't mind. So she introduced me to a therapist I started talking to, and the person was helping me with navigating all my emotions and my feelings. And then my friends too. I have friends who actually listen to me. A lot of times I tell my friends that, Omo, I'm always complaining, I'm always talking about one thing or the other, but you people are always
But sometimes all
listening,
you need is people to just listen
listen
to
to you.
you.
Yeah. So I'm grateful for, if I start mentioning names now, some people will be angry. But sincerely, when my dad died, I can never, every day I say, you see, Fatima, that's Fati,
Yes.
and Michelle, I can never forget those two ladies in my life. They followed me all the way to the village. They stayed with me. When we came back to school, Michelle, throughout that exam period, Michelle was in my house. I will wake up from sleep and I just don't want to talk. Michelle will be talking to me, I will just snap. I will start screaming. I'll tell her, leave me alone, and Michelle will stay. She'll be angry,
Yes, for sure.
but she'll just be there, just taking
Yeah.
all my bullshit. And it just kept going like that for years. Kana, Lily, and Micah, they were there when my sister died. And then the people that followed me for my sister's burial. Like when we came out from church and I saw my friends that were there. I think one of the persons that surprised me the most was my junior from secondary school, Buki. Like Buki came and she was like, Katman, I know how close you were to your sister. I just wanted to come and support you. And I saw the people. You know, a lot of times you don't even know the amount of people you have in your life till things like that happen. And then time to time, you have friends who send you messages to encourage you. Sometimes when I'm snapping, somebody's telling me, oh, you get angry a lot. I remember last year when I started going back into my angry mood, and my younger brother will be like, Ni bangani irin haushin number. Need God. That's why you see most times you find me in church. You will find me in church because I want to hear those sermons. Now I want to listen to gospel songs and just help myself out of all the anger I feel and just to live life.
Katie, me ba, like when you're talking about going to church and stuff like that, but you don't know how much I admire to look at those things, because one thing for sure, I want, when I'm talking to people and they go through loss in their life, like you right now, you're talking about going back to church. I'm not saying that, I know that I talked about we should not be angry with God for so long, but my own is, do you know the level of grace it will take you to go back to the presence of God? Look at the number of people that you lost. But when they say you leave the 99 for that one, because it's like he will still comfort you through it all. And because believers, we know that death is not final. what? Even me, I am angry. When you're talking about it, I'm like, I'm so angry. Like, God, why? Like, why? But again, we cannot explain it. Every time Pastor Sarah is preaching, she will just tell you God will do what he wants to do.
Yeah. We had a memorial in his honor, and then we went to the village and had a prayer for him, and then after that we just sat down as a family. We're talking about all the things he used to do, just gisted. Yes, remembering all the things my dad used to do. Recently I just sit down and I'm like, Omo, I need a husband like my father or better. Like, he was such a good man. My dad was my guy. He was this person that takes up his plate when he's done eating and takes it to the kitchen. So we're just remembering all those fun memories, the things he says, how he cracks jokes. My dad will beat you, like my dad will beat you silly, but you can never not like him because he was just a cool person. Yes. So most times, like for my other siblings and everybody, most times we just try to talk about them, remember things they did. Like for my sister, I have few things she owned. I have earrings, hair ties, scarves, sometimes even like something as little as maybe a t-shirt, or just I just sit down sometimes and I look at it. I remember there was someone that saw me with a scarf one day last year and was like, "Oh, I love this scarf, dash me." I said, "It's my late sister's one, I'm not giving." So little things like that just reminds me of even things like just keeping their phone number. I know it doesn't do much. I've not been able to delete my sister's number. I deleted my dad's own, I think, after like 8 years of his death or so. But if you ask me for my dad's number, I still have it up there. So little things like that. I think for my family, it has basically been talking about them. Even my aunts, we just remind ourselves about things they used to do. I know I was telling my brother last year when I was thinking of, he said, "Oh, move out from your house," and I was like, shebi if my auntie was alive, I would not be paying rent. These people were a part of my life, and I thank God that I got to experience them. No matter how I wanted to have more years with them, but I'm just grateful for the little time I had with them. I think the first thing for someone grieving, because grieving too might not just be the loss of a loved one. Grieving comes in different ways, relationships, a lot of things. But I think the first thing is to allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to feel. Don't, I know everybody grieves differently. Everybody grieves differently. There are people that get depressed, anger, different things. But allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself sit down and actually be in the moment. Oh, I lost this person. Sit down, think about it. Cry. Me, my friends that have lost people last year, whenever I call or I send a message, I'll tell you, cry. When you want to cry, sit down, lock yourself, cry. Like, let it out, cry. But one thing you shouldn't do when you are grieving is isolate. When you isolate, different thoughts start coming into your head. You you just become a different person when you isolate. And then one major thing is, don't depart from the presence of God. I think that was one thing I kept doing for many years. I was going back and forth. When this person dies, I'll be like, I beg, I'll go back to my old ways. But one thing is, God will always strengthen you. God is a comforter. They call him a comforter for a reason. You see, when you just stay in his presence, there's a way God just comforts you. He brings calm into your life. There's just a way he gives you peace. You see that peace that God gives. Yes. Nobody can give you. Nobody. You see, I have tried so many things to give myself peace. Will still not be satisfied. I will always still be angry. I will still think I'll cry. You see, whenever you have those thoughts, if you can play, I have some worship songs I listen to on YouTube and all. I will just play them and I will dance. Yeah. I will dance. I will remind myself, and then keep declaring the word of God. Keep declaring the word of God. Every time, like me, anytime I just feel a little wave of sadness, I just tell myself, the joy of the Lord is your strength. I keep saying it. Even when I'm at work and I just feel that sadness of, oh, if this person was here, I just tell myself, the joy of the Lord is your strength. So in all what I'm trying to say is, allow people in. Anytime you need to talk talk to anybody, talk to somebody you trust. Let somebody listen to you, and then talk to God. Pray, cry. God is your father. Oh. God will listen to you. He will hear you. When you are crying, you are shouting. God is attentive to all our needs.
One thing for sure, I will not stop saying it. I admire you so much, Katman, and you know, you have blessed me. Honestly, I thought this interview was going to be, or this chat that we're going to have was going to be, just to let me in, and people watching this. But I have been tremendously blessed by your story, and I have also taken note that it's important that whatever happens, just always stay with God. Don't run away from God. Stay with Him. If whatever you're going through, if somebody that has lost this amount of people in her life is still telling you to be in the presence of God, you should know that God, He is the all. You cannot run away from
True.
Him.
You
So
can.
whatever we're going through, we are still going back to God. Thank you guys so much for watching yet another episode. It was a lot to unpack. Go and watch this thing again. I'm telling you, there was so much. In fact, I'm going to watch this thing over and over again. I'm not going to get tired of this episode. So thank you guys so much. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share this video. Like, share it with someone. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you. Bye.